Hello everyone, welcome back to our channel. In the last chapter, we learned how the historians classified the Indian history and what impact did British colonialism put among different sections of the Indian society. Our course material is also available for Hindi medium students. If you know a learner from Hindi medium, please share it with them. The link for Hindi medium lessons can be found in the video description and our channel bio. In this chapter, we will learn about how did Britishers evolved from just being a trading company to a colonial government ruling Indians. Chapter 2, From Trade to Territory. The company established power. In the Mughal Empire, Aurangzeb was the last powerful ruler who controlled a very large territory of India. After his death in 1707, various Mughal governors who were also called Subedars and Zamindars established their kingdoms basis the regional locations. As multiple kingdoms got established in different parts of the country, Delhi lost its influence as an effective operating center for the Mughals. By this time, Britishers were trading in India as a small trading company, and gradually by the second half of the 18th century, Britishers emerged as a rising political power. East India Company comes to East. In the year 1600, East India Company got a written grant, or a charter, officially approved by the Queen of England, Elizabeth I. The charter stated that the company had the sole right to trade business with the East, and no other trading group in England could compete with the East India Company. With this approval, company started exploring new islands in the Eastern world to buy goods at cheaper prices and sell them back in England at higher prices. This is how the company was making profits. Such companies were called mercantile, which means that an enterprise makes profit primarily through trade of buying goods at cheap price and reselling them at higher prices. The Royal Charter of the East India Company was rising in profits as they did not have any competition in the England, but they could not stop the competition from other European countries. By the time they discovered the western coast of India, it turned out that the Portuguese had already established their presence in the western part of India and were based in Goa. East India Company traveled to India from the Cape of Hope and African coast, crossing the Indian Ocean. This route was discovered by Vasco da Gama, a Portuguese sailor in 1498. Sailors from other European countries, like Dutch and France, were also doing business in India. Increased demands of Indian goods gave rise to the price rise, competition, business rivalry and political discomfort. These differences turned in wars among the European countries. They started attacking each other's ships, and brought conflict of interests, and political disturbances among the local rulers in India as well. The East India Company found it difficult to separate trade from politics, and hence the trade was carried using arms, and trading posts were protected through fortification of the posts. East India Company begins trade in Bengal. After researching thoroughly, East India Company set up its first English factory in Bengal, on the banks of the Hooghly River in 1651. The factory had a warehouse to store for exporting goods, and an office for the officials. As the trade started to expand, company bribed Mughal emperors for granting them the zamindari rights over 3 villages. One of the villages was Kalikata, which is called as Kolkata today. They persuaded Aurangzeb by asking him to issue a farman to let them perform duty-free trade across the 3 villages. However, the other traders who were performing private trades had to pay the duty. In addition to it, in 1696, company started building its own fort around the Hooghly River for the expansion of trade business. How trade led to battles. After Aurangzeb died in 1707, the Mughal Empire was governed by regional rulers or Nawabs. When the Nawabs took over the control, they refused the right of free trade to the East India Company. They claimed that company was responsible to pay huge amounts of revenue to the Nawabs and hence stopped company from practicing free trade and fortifications. One of these Nawabs to stop free trade for British was Murshid Quli Khan, the Nawab of Bengal, who was followed by Aliwardi Khan and then Siraj-ud-Dawla. On the other hand, company believed that their trade could flourish, if only they get control over more villages and get free trade access. This conflict of interest between the East India Company and the Nawabs led the arguments to the Battle of Plassey.